All right, next we're going to look at 360 event alert policies and the Recon Alert policies and the keyword groups. So where the keyword groups are associated up here in the categories, under keyword categories. Now there are quite a few default ones out of the box. For instance, fraud may be used for the finance manager. HR might be concerned with threat, discrimination, profanity, and violence. Each one of these contain lots of words. Now you can build your own in as many as you like. So you could build one with particular words associated with an investigation, or perhaps there's a layoff about to take place, or an acquisition, or even a legal case. You drop your keywords into that group, then you come down here to event alerts. And you can see we already have quite a few canned ones out of the box here for you. You can modify each and every one of these, or you can build your own from scratch. To do that, you would click Add Alert. You would name the alert whatever you want it to say. Then what type of event do you want to alert from within? Alright, so I'm concerned with email, and I want to look for inappropriate emails. So then next, does this alert cover everybody we're monitoring, or a selected group of users? I'm going to say all users for now. If you click this little icon here, it will show you how to import those from Active Directory. Here's where you actually select what data events that you want to alert on. Does it cover all times? Maybe not. Maybe it's during non-office hours or during office hours, and you can build as many time profiles as you want. All right, I'm concerned with email content, and here's where the Boolean logic operation statements kick in. So email contents in group, and if I pull this down, now I can select from those keyword groups that I showed you earlier. So HR is concerned with these. We're going to go ahead and click on them, and then maybe I want to add another line, subject and or subject is in group, and maybe I want to select those two just in case they put the word in the subject line. So you can build up to 10 conditions within these alerts, and then how you receive them is via email. Remember, during the installation I mentioned there was the built-in Veriato relay option, or you can use your own mail server, and you were able to configure it there. But you can come up here in the hamburger icon and select your email configuration here if you want to utilize your server for relaying. Alright, so you would add new alert operator, and you could add as many individuals here as needed to receive the alert. And then how often do they want it? Do they want it daily or do they want it hourly? Hourly is as soon as you can receive these. And then you would click next. You get a summary of the alert, and then click save. It's as simple as that. So let me show you one with a little bit more information in here. Let's go to copy and files. You can see activity contains the action create, rename, delete, edit. So this one's looking at create, and device type contains or does not contain, and by default it's selected removable and CD. But what if I want other and maybe unknown? Unknown might be something such as a drive that's plugged in that Windows doesn't recognize as an actual drive letter, or maybe it's a virtual machine where they drag and drop a file into it. Sometimes that will show up as unknown or other. So that's some examples on how these event alerts would work for you. Again, you can create as many as you want. You get very detailed with them, as you can see with the Boolean logic operations. Next, we're going to move into the Recon Alerts. So that's done right here. Okay, there are 3 alerts that come canned with the product. But much like the event alerts over here, you can build as many as you like for the different event types that we're able to detect anomalies on. So to show you those, I'm going to click on Add Alert up here. These are the 4 different options that you have. A compare a user to themselves, much like a self-to-self, compare a user to a group of users, compromise credentials, and then keywords. Now, our user behavior analytics will create a 20-day machine learning baseline of a user's normal activity. As their activity changes over time, that baseline will continue to change with it. So a self-to-self will detect my normal activity and any deviations above or below what my normal is, and then alert you on it. The user to group one is going to compare a user to a group of users. For instance, if you were looking at somebody in sales, maybe we'll want to compare them to the rest of the sales group to see if there's any deviations from the rest of the group. Compromised credentials looks for disparate logins utilizing your VPN RAS server to see if your credentials are being used in different locations or regions when they typically should not. And then keywords, much like the event alerts, Recon can also process from those keyword groups that were up here in the categories. So the fraud, the HR discrimination, and so forth. So I'm just going to do a sample test here. We're going to do a self-to-self first. Does this apply against all users we're monitoring or selected group? Now you can import your users from Active Directory if you'd like, and then you can select from those, but I'm going to select all users for now. And then the three types of activities we can detect the anomalies in. It's all mostly geared to data exfil though. So for instance, document tracking, we can look at the count of your documents that you've created, renamed, deleted, edited. Has that gone up and down? The file size, are you creating more files or taking files from network drives and storing them on your local, or vice versa, you're starting to upload large documents up to a network share. Printing. For me, for instance, I print 1 page a month, but let's say my manager gives me a project to work on, required me to print out a 35-page document. That's going to be a deviation from my 1 page a month. He's going to receive the alert on it, know I was working on the project, and disregard it. But let's say I put in my 2 weeks notice, and the last couple days before I leave, on Wednesday I print a 45-page doc. On Thursday it's a 100-page doc. On Friday, which is my last day, I print out a 300-page doc on a printer on the other side of the building, which might have contained the customer list. As far as outbound transfers, that's any kind of uploads to FTP, HTTP, or HTTPS, your cloud storage, your email attachments, and of course documents being created on removable or network shares. For emails, we can look at the count of emails. Has that gone up or down from your normal activity? Let's say, for instance, I send out roughly 50 to 60 emails a day. I put in for promotion, I get turned down. Now my productivity slumps with that. Now I'm sending out 20 to 30 emails. That's a deviation. On the flip side, let's say I did get the promotion and I start putting out more emails than I typically would. That's a good thing. Attachments. Now I start sending out more attachments than I normally would. This one's my absolute favorite, BCC. This is a great way I've seen data exfil due to the fact because it's very hard to see and detect BCCs. To give you a scenario, let's say there was a sensitive company document floating around. Maybe it's a new product coming out or something to that, and someone blind carbon copies their personal email address or competitor they may get ready to go work for to try, or possibly even try to sell your information, and they BCC it. Your admins are going to have a hard time trying to detect it, but we see those. Overall size of the emails. Maybe now I'm including more information in emails than I typically would. We also do psycholinguistics on the emails, so we can determine whether or not a user is becoming more negative or positive. So if it's become more negative, maybe it's because they got turned down for that promotion, or positive, maybe they got the promotion or won the lottery. Resource usage. We can look at the typical applications that you normally use. Let's say I'm in sales and I should be using only sales related applications. But let's say I pose as an insider threat actor and I start downloading free tools like Kali Linux, or maybe it's Nmap or Wireshark to try to sniff the network. So those are tools that security and IT should be using, not somebody in sales. Network shares. I map to sales drives. But let's say I try to poke around the network through UNC Pass to see if I can get the marketing into HR, folders contained on a share somewhere. So you select what you want to run an alert on, uncheck what you don't, and then next. Now here's where you adjust the sensitivity. We do 5 standard deviations, 1 being the highest and the most restrictive, down to 5 being the lowest. The graph on the right, think of it as a hypothetical view of a user's normal activity. So the orange line going through the center is the moving average. Notice how it changes over time. The blue line here kind of simulates their daily activity. And then the thresholds on the top and the bottom here, that's if I go above or below, the red dots indicate I've done that and sent out an alert. So notice as I tighten this up for my higher risk departments or maybe individuals under investigation, slightest deviation, you're going to receive an alert on it. And then next, the action. To receive these, you get them via email, and you would create a new alert operator here. And how often do you want to receive the alert? Daily, hourly, or on every alert that's triggered? And then next, you get a summary. That's what a self-to-self looks like. Self-to-group is not much different. However, compromised credentials, I want to show you what's in here, just so you have an understanding. Same thing. All right, so this is a unusual access, unusual time, distant location, unusual location. All right, you do connect to your VPN server. That's how we're able to pull the logs. It gives you instructions on how to do that. Just click Add VPN, put in your credentials, and voila, start pulling that in for you. So that sums it up for Recon Alert policies.